Hi everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom, and this is your podcast Oracle reading. So before I get started, I was just kind of taking a moment thinking about the fact that today happens to be Columbus Day. And so it is observed as a federal holiday. It's Monday, October 13th, as I record this. So many federal places, banks, and such are closed today, post office, etc. And this came to me because I had a package that kind of got mixed up, and I really couldn't deal with it because of that. But so, just for the heck of it, before I started this reading today, I decided to look up Columbus Day, because where I was the other day, someone said, well, they're used to calling it Columbus Day. I really don't know what other people call it, but it was kind of interesting. So I was curious. That's why I Googled what is the holiday today to see if it came up under a different name. And I just don't see it, but maybe it was their business that called it something different. But anyway, so one of the things that I noticed is, so this is interesting. When you are a YouTube creator, one of the things that you do is you'll kind of keep an eye on what's going on your channel, with views, audience participation, this type of thing, right? Observance, right? So this holiday is observed today, okay? And what I found really interesting is because, depending upon what videos I put out, how many I put out, how long they are, of course, there's all these variations, right? But I was just kind of thinking about this. It's the idea of when do others see your work, see what you've done, see what you've accomplished, uh, get to experience it and or celebrate it. Okay, celebrate your work. And so it wasn't like I was really thinking about that, but the second I read this, I realized, yes, because I actually had been looking at it for a moment, but I didn't put a whole lot of stock into it. But then I read this and I thought, yes, this makes such perfect sense for what I was thinking about. So Columbus Day is a national holiday in many countries of the Americas and elsewhere, and a federal holiday in the United States, which officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas. He went ashore in Ganahani, an island in the Bahamas, on October 12th, 1492. So even though it's being celebrated today on Monday, it's the closest Monday to that day, apparently. But in looking at this, there's a larger area where it says observed for 233 years. But in a closer look at it, I really didn't really think that much about it. But here again, let's read this. He went ashore on October 12th, 1492. It says it's been observed for 233 years, but actually it's only been observed since 1792. It took 300 years before it was observed as a holiday. So very fascinating that, I was looking at, like, kind of over my work and how many people are watching it or, tweaking things, whatever that is. So in this particular case, I thought it was interesting. His work didn't start to even become observed for 300 years in this manner. Yes. And I mean observed as a federal holiday. Um, so so that was in 1492. So that was 300 years before that. And then it's been another 233 years. So I also thought that that was interesting. So what I wanted to do, um, I have this book of angel numbers by Doreen Virtue, and I'm going to go here to 300. So we're focusing on the 300 years for right now. It says the ascended masters and God's support, surround, protect, and love you unconditionally now and always. So think about that. Him in his travels and his crew, um, discovering America. I bet that was pretty wonderful to, land in the Bahamas after, you know, an extended trip on the water, right? So then we're going to go one more to this other number, 233 years. It said, you've asked for help of many ascended masters, and they are with you right now, just as you have requested. So, it's just very interesting how this comes up, right? So, uh, what is the greater message? Like for me to look at this and to observe this, right? It's like I'm standing back from a distance looking at this. The message is patience. All things work out in divine timing. And again, when he landed in a really beautiful place there, right? In the Bahamas. He and his crew. Um, and so, I think this message today is about patience. Um, for your work or what you're doing being observed and or appreciated by others, right? So the other message is continue to do what you do, not for the accolades of it, but because it's something that brings you joy, uh, and harmony or peace into your life, but it also raises the collective vibration of the or the collective consciousness, the vibration of the collective consciousness. So yesterday I had done a reading, and it was my intention to use this deck called the Empath Activation Cards, and this is actually really interesting. I see here now, but I had pulled one card, and it's called the Spectrum of Purpose, and it has a really cool patterning on it, and so I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a visual. So it's almost like um, a crescent moon shape, but face down, but there's a circle in the middle of it, and then in that circle is another, like almost would be like a full moon, but they're just gray. And then there's a straight line running all the way down through it, swirls, and so this pattern is like saying we start in this place, finding balance. We have curves in our path, right? Because the idea here is, what is the spectrum of our purpose, and what are we doing as an empath activation? Okay, and so actually so interesting when you think about the idea of him and his crew discovering, right? Discovering new areas. Uh, what was the spectrum of their purpose, right? So let's just go ahead and read this, because we all have these inquiries about, what am I doing right now? I mean, sometimes we just do what we do, right? But then sometimes there's things that come up in our life where, like, I feel like there's more than I'm supposed to be experiencing, right? Or to do, or this isn't no longer aligning with my soul, which I find really interesting, because on this image there's a very thin line right down the center of all of these squiggles and circles and such, like saying finding your center, right? And the other thing I do want to mention is the background of this card is all of the colors of the rainbow, but it just goes straight across, and it's like the colors of the chakras as well. Okay? So, our journey, I just want to read this to you. It says, "Do you know you have more than one purpose?" So if you are feeling um, like you're trying to find your purpose, you're trying to find something, like he was, like they were, right? So again, do you know that you have more than one purpose? It has become common practice in some human circles to focus on your soul's purpose as though there is only one. There is also the implied exception that you must figure out your soul's purpose as quickly as possible, and not only figure it out, but get it right. Now, does this ring a bell for anyone who's been, say, 17, and everyone else has been to college or whatever, and it's like, well, you better figure out what you want to do, right? There's a lot of pressure on students, or has been over the years, to figure out what they're going to do. And they're young and they maybe didn't have that many experiences. Think about how many people start something and they change. They're trying to find what feels authentic to their soul. What they're trying to find is that thin white line that's running through all of this, what feels in alignment with them. Dear one, we invite you to take a deep breath and relax. You are not doing anything wrong. You haven't missed the mark, and you are not behind. The idea of having only one distinct purpose is limiting and inaccurate. Humans have many purposes with multiple levels of expression. And key to all is that it is that you have a choice in every moment about what you decide to pursue. So just think about them. If they had shifted their sails, right? This is what you do when you're embarking on a journey of life, our soul journey. Sometimes we embark on our career journey, whatever that is, right? But what if you shift sails? You have a choice in every moment about what you decide to pursue. There is no supreme being with a tally sheet and a red pen. You are a creator in your own right, equal to divine source in your co-creative agency. You choose your timeline. You choose the amplitude. You choose the duration. We would like you to consider 5 purposes. First, there's the human evolution purpose, which is universal and transpersonal. This is the highest level overlay of purpose. I'm just going to turn this down. I'm getting a little feedback. Mankind shares a common mission of experiencing yourselves as creators, having free will, and participating in the grand experiment of life as God, goddess, in human form. Collectively, you each chose to be a part of the human evolution, many times, in fact, through reincarnation. This is because there are so many aspects and points along the spectrum of the human life to experience. The human evolution purpose manifests itself uniquely in each person, but the purpose itself is common to the whole of humanity. The next step down, so to speak, is the personal human evolutionary purpose, or the being purpose. This is your personal version of the human evolutionary purpose, which is different with each incarnation. This individual mission is about embodying the joy and pleasure of human existence through experiences that can only happen in physical form. It is rooted in beingness. In choosing to incarnate as creator in the physical realm, there are things that can only be experienced because you have a body. This includes the pleasures of food, sex, art, appreciation, and or the participation in sports, for instance. It certainly embraces the delicious experience of all of the senses. The personal human evolutionary purpose includes the entire spectrum of human feelings and experience, both good and bad. In coming to planet Earth, This part of your purpose is to find the rapturous and exquisite joy in simply being human. The life work purpose, or the doing purpose, is the one that most humans are referring to when they speak of their soul purpose. Your life work purpose is action oriented. Humans are very industrious and innovative, and part of experiencing themselves as a creator is the inherent desire to express that creative spark in grand flair and experimentation. The life work purpose is something you desire to accomplish, create, or do. This is usually geared around themes of the betterment of humanity, being of service in some way, parenting or teaching, or simply doing what one loves. There can be several of these purposes over the course of one's lifetime. The life lesson purpose, or the feeling purpose, is different in that certain key situations or environments are orchestrated at the soul level to be overcome at the human level in order to fully experience and understand a particular aspect of the human condition. This is a type of experimental learning where the soul integrates the embodied wisdom gained from that incarnation. I'm going to stop there for a moment because we are spirits that are having a human experience, and we came here for soul lessons. As I continue on, it says it involves what you understand as core wounds. In the current paradigm of human consciousness, you are at the beginning stages of recognizing that learning, growth, and healing do not have to occur through pain, chaos, and trauma. The life lesson purpose will take on a different tenor as humanity ascends into higher levels of consciousness. It too can have several manifestations in one lifetime. The final purpose is the desire purpose, or the heart purpose. This purpose is about personal fulfillment and enjoyment, whereas the life work purpose is more about helping others, supporting the bigger picture, or advancing in some way. A desire purpose is motivated completely by desire, something you long to do or are called to do. And I do have to tell you, I am full of goosebumps right now. You do it for the sheer love of doing it. Often one finds that they were born with this passion, the expression of this purpose, the satisfaction gained from participating in it. It is its own reward from simply participating in it. It is not meant to be focused on the benefit of another, though it might be. Sometimes the life work purpose and the desire purpose are one and the same, but they don't have to be. But isn't that a super win? One can have multiple desire purposes in a single lifetime. So you desire to have many experiences, right? There are many things that interest you. So you can have, or you might, let's say you play an instrument, or you were in a band for a period of time, and so you wanted to make music, if you will, and so maybe at one point you played an instrument, but then another time you decided you would sing. These purposes aren't meant to overwhelm you or to make you feel like you have even more to figure out or accomplish in your very fleeting earth walk. They are meant to give you perspective and, most importantly, give you the freedom that comes from unshackling the restrictive harness of a single soul purpose. The Oracle of Spectrum of Purpose asks you to relax into the symphony of desires, passions, and soul callings you feel. They are all valid. No longer must you choose just one or doubt yourself because several things speak to you with equal vigor. You are a multidimensional creative force. It is only natural to discover multiple expressions and levels of purpose in the grand arc of your life. Know that your higher self is asking you to reconcile the seeming opposing choices you are trying to make regarding your soul purpose by integrating the polarities into unity. Making space in your energy field, your psyche, and your belief structure for multiple purposes will allow you to value and express all of your purposes. This, in turn, will dissolve the internal struggle that is ravaging your focus and robbing you of vital life force. It says the ritual of spectrum of purpose. Given the 5 purposes illuminated in this oracle, take some time for sacred reflection, meditation, and journaling about how these different purposes are seeking to express through you as creator of your world. As you consider the levels and layers, notice how you feel and what desires, passions, and interests begin to surface. Use these questions to draw out the various purposes that are seeking expression or are playing out in your life. What have you always loved or been attracted to since the moment you were born? What would you do even if you made no money at it? What sensory experiences bring you the greatest joy? What have been the major wounding themes in your life? What do you love about being human? Imagining the end of your life, what would you be most proud of looking back? I find that interesting, right? Because this whole thing started with looking over one's work, is bringing this out to people, messages of encouragement and healing, right? And then, looking at Christopher Columbus and his crew being acknowledged for discovering the United States. So again, imagining the end of your life, what would you most regret not having done? So such a powerful, powerful message. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention about this, the spectrum of purpose. So don't, the word that's coming to me is pigeonholed. Don't pigeonhole yourself and don't allow others to pigeonhole you because you are a multidimensional being. Now, the other thing what I was going to say is because there are colors of the rainbow, which also work through the colors of the chakras. And so let's say red being our root chakra. Well, you might go in, same thing like was mentioned here, with this idea of what am I supposed to do? Like you feel like it's what you're supposed to do to earn money, right? To be here to survive. The root chakra represents our basic needs. As we move up to the orange, so you might start out younger going, okay, right, I'm going to work some type of something, and so that I can get in a car or a house, something of the physical world, right? You're providing for your basic needs, your clothing. But then as you've kind of mastered that, if you will, and you're like, okay, I'm comfortable in who I am. I have this balanced. I don't have less than I need. I don't have way more than I need. I just have balance here. I'm good. Now, as you start moving up your chakras, you move into your sacral chakra, which is your joy center. It's represented by orange. And so now you might start putting out these feelings or feelers. And by the way, we can look at these in 10-year increments too. So if your root chakra were your beginning years of life, and let's just say, just as an example, just even say to 25 or even 2025. Okay, so now you're like, okay, I've kind of got this mastered. I'm good here. Now you're like, okay, but I'm longing to experience more. And so now you start asking yourself, well, what brings me joy, right? So you might start dabbling in things that interest you. Maybe it's an art class. Maybe it's a class to learn how to speak another language. Maybe you pick up a sport. Maybe you start playing an instrument, right? You're adding something to that level of the basic needs. And so, again, now you're putting that out there in the spectrum of purpose. You're still doing your other thing, but now you're kind of reaching out, like hobby wise, if you will, or fun, whatever feels like fun. Okay, and then eventually you step into what is your solar plexus shower or chakra, which is your power center, right? And it's like that which um, oh, by the way, so let's say that you're doing that, you're in your sacral chakra and your orange, you're finding your joy, and all of a sudden, all these things that maybe you've been testing and trying, there's something that says, soul yes here, big time, right? And so you step into doing that more and more, you let the other ones start to dwindle away, and you put more energy into this one that really feels resonant with your spirit. And so you focus on that. Now, eventually, then all of a sudden you decide, yeah, this is really going great. People are receptive to what I am creating, right? And so I think what I'm going to do is step into my power, the solar plexus chakra, and maybe I'm going to become self employed doing this for a while. And I'm going to let go of that steady Eddie job, right? Like working for someone else to provide the basic needs. Now it's like I'm stepping into my own power, and I'm managing well. I understand. I've taken time. I've reviewed, all of this from the physical aspect of it, right? So it makes sense to step into this. And then why does it? Because it was a heart-based choice, right? Even though, yes, you were doing things for fun, you step into your power because the next chakra up is the heart, right? And so you made this choice to do this, but now you're working from your heart space. You're expanding your heart, because you have stepped into your power, and you are creating or making choices from your heart space, not out of fear, right? You're doing what feels right, resonant to your soul. The choices. You realize now there are many choices. Again, even when you are in your heart chakra, right? I actually want to jump back here because one of the things, I'm trying to remember how it was worded here. The desire purpose, or the heart purpose. This purpose is about the personal fulfillment and enjoyment, whereas the life work purpose is more about helping others, supporting the bigger picture, or advancing in some way. A desire purpose, which is going to be represented by green, the heart chakra, right, is motivated completely by desire. So you might join a band. Again, maybe you don't get paid, that great or whatever, but you don't care. It's not about the money. It's about the desire of having this experience, something you long to do or are called to do. Maybe you do get great pay. That's like what it was saying. When your life, when these two purposes are lined up, that's, when you are paid to do what you love, right? There's extra rewards in that, if you will. So then you do that purpose for a while, and then you are stepping into your throat chakra. Now, the throat chakra can be a place where you teach people about what you've experienced or learned on your journey, right? So you speak about this. You're empowered through your voice, not taking away or diminishing others in their speaking, not speaking over others, but there is value in what you are saying, right? What you are speaking, and being balanced in that, not overdoing it, not underdoing it, not allowing others to diminish your voice, etc. And then the next one is your intuition, your third eye, right? So you begin to continue to really trust and lean into your intuition, especially as it comes to your life purpose. You understand that even though you chose something, um, between the green and the yellow chakra, where you were testing things out, and then you chose something, you stepped into your power. You understand now that it doesn't have to be forever just because you chose something. There is a spectrum of purposes here, and like a river, it weaves, right? But it's learning. Think about a boat that goes down a river that has all these weaving turns, and yet the boat stays in the middle of those weaving turns, right? And so that's what we learn to do, is to find balance in the weaves or the turns of our journey. And so very fun, encouraging message. I think that I'm just going to wrap this up because we're already at 31 minutes, but so kind of thinking schools are closed today. Probably not 100% sure, but more than likely they are. So I'm going to release this today. But wherever you are on your journey, if you are a parent listening to this and you have, a young adult, or, kids kind of at that age where they're thinking about school, college, whatever that is, are feeling very pressured, I hope that you will share this with them and or someone else that you might know who's trying to figure things out. The other thing that is coming to me is when people talk about midlife crisis, right? That they're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? People feel like a robot. They feel like it's been, what do you call it? Groundhog's Day, right? Over and over and over. And this is a call to awaken for a deeper understanding that we all are multidimensional beings. And so it's okay to experiment and find what resonates with our soul at various times. And again, there are multiple layers to this. It's not even just the human experience. I loved the questions at the end, the inquiries. And so hopefully I'll go back and review those and consider those for wherever you are on your journey. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope that you have an amazing day. Take care.